Good evening and welcome to the JT News Report. I'm Aaron Malabau.
And I'm Hanny Everett.
Tonight, January 22nd, we are live in the Medford, Massachusetts studio with a special news broadcast.
The Supreme Court ruled by a vote of 7-2 today in the landmark case of Roe v. Wade that abortion is legal during the first trimester of pregnancy.
In the second trimester, abortion can be regulated but not prohibited by the state in order to protect the health of the mother. And during the third trimester, the state can intervene to protect the fetus if it is deemed viable for life.
The case was brought by a pregnant single woman named Roe in the state of Texas as a class action suit challenging the constitutionality of Texas's criminal anti-abortion laws, and this case was consolidated with a similar case in Georgia, Doe v. Bolton.
The court's ruling was not based on the question of viability, but rather the idea that a woman's decision to terminate a pregnancy should be between her and her doctor, not the government.
While the Constitution does not explicitly mention a right to privacy, the court held that the First, Fourth, Ninth, and 14th Amendments, as well as legal precedent, justify a right to privacy, which the court extended to, quote, encompass a woman's decision whether or not to terminate the pregnancy, end quote.
Justice William Rehnquist wrote the dissenting opinion which stated that, quote, the court's sweeping invalidation of any restrictions on abortion during the first trimester is impossible to justify, end quote, with the 14th Amendment or elsewhere in the Constitution.
While there was a clear majority within the court, the country remains divided on the issue of whether a fetus is entitled to constitutional protection.
Cardinal Cook, the Catholic Archbishop of New York, called the decision a shocking action. Cardinal Kroll of Philadelphia called it an unspeakable tragedy. Here's Monsignor James McHugh on the issue.
In this instance, the Supreme Court has withdrawn protection for the human rights of unborn children, and it is teaching people that abortion is a rather innocuous procedure provided that there are proper legal safeguards. I think that the judgment of the court will do a great deal to tear down the respect previously accorded human life in our culture.
On the other side, Dr. Ellen Cutmacher of Planned Parenthood had this to say.
That to raise the dignity of woman and give her freedom of choice in this area is an extraordinary event. And I think that January 22nd, 1973 would be an historic day.
What's this? Headquarters just informed us that JT News acquired an exclusive interview with one of today's plaintiffs, an anonymous 22-year-old former mental patient identified as Mary Doe.
Now, the first two children you'd had, they've been taken away from you?
Yes, because I couldn't take care of them by myself, and I couldn't with my husband.
And now I believe you had one more, and it was also put out for adoption, wasn't it?
Yes, I put it out because of my husband.
Now, after you were unable to get the abortion for the fourth pregnancy, what happened?
Well, I had to go on and have the baby and have it adopted out.
The ruling will overturn the law in 46 states.
Now, we will hear various responses from the public on the issue.
I couldn't imagine a doctor taking my child away. I think no woman should be allowed to murder a child.
Some people just aren't ready for motherhood. Why would a teenager ruin her future if there's a safe medical procedure to terminate the pregnancy? And why should the government get in the way of that?
We expect this decision to be the impetus for a long debate over the timeless ethical issue of abortion. Every American feels differently about what circumstances abortion should be allowed, if at all.
But unlike other nationwide disagreements, to many, abortion challenges the unshakable view of religion. Only time will tell whether the decision will be overturned, but this will certainly become a great debate for decades to come.
After this brief message from our sponsors, stay tuned for another story on why this man was arrested.